Hey guys, this is Chintan Vitlani and this is the review of the LG G2. This is definitely not the first review out there and probably won't be the last. But this review comes to you from a person who's used a lot of Android phones and is just about to find out how this G2 stands out and what makes it so special. So this 2013, when Samsung and similar brands were rushing to bring out the new flagship, folks at LG were spending time in the labs to fine-tune this beast a bit more and a bit more. At least that's how this phone comes across to you at the first sight. It looks gorgeous, and when you pick it up, it feels great. And really, you cannot talk about this phone without mentioning how good it feels in the hands, courtesy of those slightly tapered edges. And as soon as you do that, you see why the G2 is so special. With that bezel, at just a tenth of an inch, this phone has the thinnest bezel on any smartphone out there, and a really nice display too. The display on the G2 is a full HD IPS panel with a whopping pixel density of 424 pixels per inch. The display is so super sharp that reading fine text is so easy, and you just cannot differentiate pixels no matter how hard you look. Also, the viewing angles on this thing are really good and with surprisingly good outdoor visibility. What you see on the screen is the LG Optimus UI. LG has done a good job in some areas, but at times this UI is so much feature filled that it will leave you overwhelmed with tons of different options. Plus it's too heavy, although it doesn't feel like due to the awesome hardware that this thing is packing. To give you an idea, here's the notification drawer with a quick remote open. It takes almost half the screen, and there are so many options that are fitted up here that you just have half the space to work with. I'm not against it. Many of them are really useful, like the Q-Slide apps and the Notes app. You'll always find a difference of opinion on these. You either like it, or if you're a minimalistic person, you won't. Minimalistic or not, there's no way you're getting around without noticing the bold move that LG played by placing those buttons on the back. This is something that LG had to do to cut the size of the bezels, but it has worked out in LG's favor. It usually takes a day or two to get used to the new placement, but then you start loving it and find yourself doing the same on other phones. That's how good it is. If you're one of those selfie taking persons, then this is the phone for you, as those buttons fire the shutter without interrupting the frame. Talking about which, the G2 has one of the finest cameras you would find on any smartphone out there. With a 13 megapixel 1.3 inch sensor, this thing has a boss of a camera. Primarily because the lens is kept floating, all thanks to a hardware OS module. The G2's camera interface has a lot of shooting modes out of the box, from burst mode to night mode and an erasing mode and various other modes that you might find useful. I have put a few sample photos and videos so that you get a better idea of how the camera on the G2 performs. There are also manual controls available like manual exposure, ISO and even manual focus. So +1 to LG there. Moving on to how this device performs. Performance of the G2 is rock solid. It was the first device to launch with the Snapdragon 800 and this device just screams. It is running on a quad-core processor clocked at 2.2 GHz and that means apps open ever so quickly and multitasking is very fast. How fast, you may ask? Well, benchmarking the G2 would always give me maxed out scores on each and every tool that I tested, and surprisingly and thankfully, all that performance doesn't come at the cost of battery life. What we see here are the 4 cores and their present activity. As you can see, this new architecture keeps just one core active until and unless it's necessary to fire the rest of them. To wrap up, the LG G2 is a well-rounded phone and also a very innovative effort from the manufacturer. It pulled LG at par, if not on the top of other flagships out there, and a whole lot of happy customers. It also was an important milestone since it served as the foundation for the Nexus 5. This is also a fantastic device. There's so much to like about the G2, so overall it is definitely the device to buy this season.